The movie begins 183 years before the epic events of the War of the Ring. The voice of Éowyn, a brave shield maiden of Rohan from the original tale, gently guides us into the story. Her narration carries a tone of reverence and sorrow, as she reflects on a chapter of Rohan's history that few remember. Éowyn introduces us to Hera, the daughter of King Helm Hammerhand, a legendary figure in Rohan's history. Unlike her father, whose name is etched into songs and stories, Hera's tale has been largely forgotten. Éowyn explains that Hera was a would-be shield maiden, a young woman filled with courage and determination. Despite her bravery and strong spirit, Hera's story didn't make it into the grand ballads sung around campfires or written into the great tomes of history. From the beginning, there's a sense of melancholy as Éowyn sets the stage, making it clear that Hera's journey, though vital, remains overshadowed by the deeds of others. Yet Éowyn's words also carry a quiet strength, as if urging the audience to listen closely and honor the story of this unsung hero. Freka, a proud and ambitious lord of the Dunlendings, arrives at King Helm Hammerhand's hall. By his side is his son, Wulf, who shares a long-standing bond with Hera, the daughter of King Helm. As children, Hera and Wulf were friends, but the years and the weight of duty have changed the dynamics of their lives. Freka's visit, however, is not a friendly one. He is deeply unsettled by the news that Hera is to be married to a lord of Gondor, an alliance that strengthens ties between Rohan and their southern allies. Freka sees this as a threat to his ambitions and hatches a bold plan. He attempts to coerce the king into allowing Wulf to marry Hera instead, hoping that this union would eventually give his family a claim to Rohan's throne. Wulf, though conflicted, genuinely desires to marry Hera. Whether out of lingering affection or a sense of duty to his father's schemes, his wish is clear. However, Hera has no interest in marriage, especially to Wulf. Her heart and mind are focused on her path, not one dictated by politics or ambition. Her disinterest adds fuel to the growing tensions between Freka and King Helm. The confrontation reaches a boiling point when Freka's demands become too much for Helm to tolerate. The dispute escalates to a physical brawl, and the two step outside the hall to settle matters. What begins as a heated fistfight takes a tragic turn. Helm, in a moment of raw strength and fury, strikes Freka with a single devastating blow. The blow proves fatal, and Freka collapses, lifeless. It is this moment that earns Helm the now legendary nickname, Hammerhand. For Wulf, the loss of his father is more than a personal tragedy. It is a breaking point. Overcome with grief and rage, he vows revenge on Helm and all of Rohan. His once innocent friendship with Hera is now replaced by bitterness and anger, as his quest for vengeance becomes the driving force of his life. Years pass, and Wulf disappears without a trace. No one hears from him or knows where he has gone. Meanwhile, life in Rohan moves on, though shadows of the past linger in the minds of those affected by the conflict. One day, Hera ventures out with her cousin Freyolaf, who is part Dunlending himself, reflecting Rohan's complicated history with the hill tribes. During their journey, they stumble upon the body of a Sothran warrior. This warrior was a tamer of Mumakil, massive, elephant-like creatures used in war. The sight is unsettling, but before they can investigate further, the warrior's Mumak, now wild and rabid, appears. The massive beast charges at them, its fury unleashed. Thinking quickly, Hera devises a plan. She leads the enraged Mumak into a nearby forest lake, where danger lurks below the surface. As the beast enters the water, it is dragged under and devoured by a watcher in the water, a terrifying creature hidden in the depths. Hera's quick thinking saves them, but the encounter leaves her and Freyolaf shaken. Unbeknownst to Hera, her movements have been watched. Targ, one of Freka's loyal generals, has been following her. Seeing his chance, Targ kidnaps Hera and takes her to Wulf's stronghold in Isengard. When she arrives, Hera discovers that Wulf has not only survived, but thrived. Over the years, he has risen to power, becoming the High Lord of the Dunlendings. Under his command is a vast host of hill tribe rebels, all united by their anger toward Rohan and their thirst for revenge. In a desperate attempt to stop the impending war, Hera offers herself in marriage to Wulf, hoping to end the conflict before it begins. Though she loathes the idea, she is willing to sacrifice her happiness for the good of Rohan. However, before the marriage can take place, Hera is rescued by her brave cousin Freyalaf and her aunt Alwyn. Together they infiltrate Wulf's stronghold and free her from captivity. Despite losing Hera, Wulf does not abandon his plans for vengeance. Fueled by his hatred for King Helm and his desire to claim Rohan, he leads his army of Dunlending rebels and invades the kingdom. The tension in Rohan rises as King Helm Hammerhand prepares for war. His nephew, Freyalaf, urges caution and suggests evacuating Edoras to the fortress of Dunharrow, where the people would be safer. But Helm views this as an act of cowardice. Refusing to consider retreat, Helm casts Freyalaf out of Edoras, unwilling to entertain any plan that he sees as abandoning the city or showing weakness. As Helm readies his forces, he places his trust in Lord Thorn, who pledges to raise men for the coming battle. However, an unsettling truth comes to light when Leif, a young page, accidentally drops a scroll belonging to Lord Thorn. The seal on the scroll is identical to the one used by Wulf, revealing Thorn's betrayal. Hera, sharp-eyed and quick to connect the dots, realizes that Thorn is secretly working with Wulf to undermine Rohan. When confronted, Thorn turns on Hera and attempts to silence her permanently. In the struggle, Hera, with the help of her loyal horse, manages to defend herself and kill the traitorous lord. The revelation of this betrayal shakes her deeply, but there's no time to dwell on it. With the enemy already moving, Hera takes swift action. Realizing her father's forces are walking into a trap and vastly outnumbered, she organizes the evacuation of Edoras. She leads the people to the Hornburg, a stronghold that would later become famous as Helm's Deep, ensuring their safety while the battle rages. The battle itself is brutal and unforgiving. Wulf's forces overwhelm Helm's army, and the consequences are devastating. Wulf personally kills Helm's son Haleth during the fight, dealing a crushing blow to the king's spirit. Later, Wulf captures Haleth's brother, Hama, who is a skilled harper and Helm's remaining son. In a cruel display, Wulf murders Hama right in front of Helm, even after the king offers to sacrifice himself in exchange for his son's life. This act of cold-blooded vengeance leaves Helm grief-stricken and furious, further fueling the bitter feud between the two men. Wulf, emboldened by his victories, begins a siege of the Hornburg, determined to destroy Rohan's last line of defense. The siege lasts through the harsh winter, with Wulf's forces building an enormous siege tower to break through the fortress's defenses. Inside the Hornburg, the people of Rohan cling to hope and resilience, waiting for an opportunity to turn the tide against the invaders. Helm, wounded and heartbroken from losing his sons, secretly leaves the Hornburg at night through a hidden passage. Armed with nothing but his fists, he fights Wulf's forces, taking down many of them. However, he dies outside the gates of the Hornburg, frozen in the cold, standing upright with his knees unbent, a testament to his unyielding spirit. During one of Helm's night raids, Hera sneaks out to find him and even helps him kill a troll. While out, she discovers 2 orcs from Mordor looting rings from the dead on orders from their master. Realizing the situation is dire, Hera climbs to an eagle's nest and sends an eagle carrying Helm's armor to her cousin Freyalaf, asking for reinforcements. Back at the Hornburg, Hera prepares for a bold move. Supply keeper Old Penacruc gives her an old bridal dress, which she wears as a symbol of sacrifice. As Wulf's army lowers the bridge from their massive siege tower to invade the Hornburg, Hera rides onto the bridge and challenges Wulf to single combat. Her brave act is meant to distract Wulf and his army, buying time for the people of Rohan to escape through the hidden passage. In the duel, Hera defeats Wulf, reminding him of his promise to surrender if he loses. Targ, one of Wulf's generals who had advised against unnecessary cruelty, agrees with her. But Wulf, enraged by his defeat, kills Targ in cold blood. At that moment, Freyalaf arrives with cavalry reinforcements. Wearing Helm's armor and blowing his legendary horn, Freyalaf creates the illusion that Helm's ghost has returned. Terrified, Wulf's Dunlending army flees in panic. In a final act of desperation, Wolf stabs Hera, but she uses a shield to choke him to death, ending the war and saving Rohan. Despite her injuries, her courage and sacrifice ensure the survival of her people and the legacy of her father. Helm's bravery and sacrifice leave a lasting mark on Rohan's history. The Valley of the Hornburg and its mighty stronghold is renamed Helm's Deep in his honor, a tribute to his unshakable courage during Rohan's darkest hour. With the war over, Freyalaf takes the throne as the new king of Rohan. Saruman the White, now the keeper of Isengard, offers his friendship to the young king, while Freyalaf begins the work of rebuilding Edoras and constructing a grand new hall. Meduseld, his cousin Hera, chooses a different path. Hera, uninterested in ruling or staying confined to the politics of the kingdom, decides to set out in search of new adventures. She leaves Rohan with her aunt Olwen, carrying her late brother Hama's harp as a memento of her family. Her journey begins when she meets Gandalf the Grey, who is intrigued by her story of the orcs she saw searching for rings. Gandalf, always curious and wise, has many questions, and their meeting sets Hera on an unknown but exciting path. The narrator concludes by describing Hera's spirit, wild and untamed, a free soul who lived life on her terms until the very end. Though her name may not be immortalized in grand songs or tales, her courage, strength, and adventurous heart leave an enduring legacy in Rohan's history.